Effective criticism. We love to correct other people. It is easy for us to see the mistakes of others versus our own. This is really natural for a human being to judge themselves favorably and want to correct and criticize others. However, what is the art of effective criticism? How do we criticize properly? How do we criticize so other people can actually listen to our suggestions, our corrections? I'm here to share with you some practical ideas, some insights, and hopefully we'll get a better grasp on criticism, the purpose of it, and especially I want to target how to criticize properly. Now, does it mean that whenever we criticize, people will actually change and listen? No. We don't control other people, but especially when it comes to our families, our husbands, our children, if we want to rebuke properly, it takes practice, it takes a lifetime of hard work. But remember, practice makes better. Any single habit that we have, we enhance it, we improve on it, we will only get better at it. So it says in the book 13 Midot, we are all cogs in a mighty machine whose purpose is to glorify Hashem. If one individual doesn't perform well, then his component becomes loose, getting in the way of the smooth functioning of the whole mechanism. It is our job to ensure that we perform satisfactorily, gently influencing others to do the same. In other words, we are responsible for each other. If someone is lacking something, we need to help them and we need to influence them positively. So what should we do when you see someone doing something wrong and you think you should prevent them from doing it again, from it happening again? According to many authorities, the word hoichach, which means rebuke, comes from the same root as nochach, meaning opposite. It suggests that one should confront a person about his wrongdoing and help him correct it, meaning do the opposite, right? So I'm going to share with you now 3 important ways to rebuke people properly. And as well as at the end, I'm going to share 5 practical tips. Okay, number 1 is to prove. Prove. What does that mean? Rav Aryeh Kaplan teaches that in many places the word rebuke means to prove. In other words, try to prove to the person that what they did does not define them. Try to facilitate the person's belief that his behavior is not necessarily a true reflection of his essence. All too often, when a person makes the wrong choice, it is because he's not aware of the truth or because he does not wish to think about it. Prove to the individual who he really is by convincing him of his own spiritual worth and how important his deeds are in Hashem's eyes. We know that a person, Rabbi Tzadok Schwartz teaches that a person underconducts themselves because they undervalue themselves. At the moment, they forget who they are. They forget they are a Tzelem Elokim, right? A queen does not forget who she is. She's dressed in royalty. She's wearing her heavy royal crown. She remembers who she is at all times. But we need to remember that we are also a piece of Hashem, a Tzelem Elokim. If a person forgets who they are, that's the only time they really misconduct themselves, because they just forget. They're not thinking about it. And in a generation that we live in, constantly full of distractions, constantly all about speed, people need to make time to think. So to prove to this person that they are not what they did, they forgot, right? And enable them, give them opportunity to think about their actions, that they should do things differently. Number 2 is pleasant words. In Kedushas Levi Hukat, it says that ideally you want to correct others with pleasant words. You can explain to every Jew how important he is and how lofty his soul is, since all Jewish souls are hewn from a place higher than the throne of glory. You can tell them of the immense pleasure that Hashem has from the mitzvah kept by each individual Jew and of the boundless joy that exists in all the spiritual worlds when even a single Jew observes Hashem's mitzvot. Rav Chaim Friedlander said, a person is like a diamond with some dust on it. To clean the dust, you should not use a harsh brush, which may create tiny scratches, which is harsh criticism. Rather, one should wipe the dust off the stone with a very soft brush, meaning gentle encouragement. Then the diamond will shine brighter from day to day. It's especially true when we parent our children. When we're rebuking them, criticizing them, it's so difficult to constantly rebuke them positively or do it softly, but every single time we try, we will get better at it, and it will be part of our new habit. When a person rebukes someone in a compassionate manner, demonstrating his concern for the other person's soul, it will only bring pleasure to Hashem. Number 3 is pray. The Klausenberger Rebbe recommended that before rebuking someone, it is important to send a prayer up to the Ribono Shel Olam, up to Hashem, and say, I'm about to do something for your honor. Please help my words result in something beneficial and lasting. There's a story I want to share that happened in the pre-Israeli state days. There was a barber who would give haircuts past Shabbat, and many Jews rebuked him. In response, the barber yelled, if you don't disappear, I'm going to kill you. Rav Zalman Bakran one day before Shabbat went to the barber shop. What's your problem? Roared the barber. Rav Zalman replied ever so gently, it is getting late, and I'm afraid that if you don't close the shop immediately, you are going to miss mincha. Hearing those warm and gentle words, the barber stood up straighter. We know mincha is when you go to shul and you pray. There's 3 times a day that men pray in a shul, women as well, but most of the time it's men. This Jew viewed him as someone who cared about mincha. He was not a sinner in the eyes of the rabbi. Immediately he called out, I'm closing up. It's time to go daven mincha. From then onward, he closed his barbershop when the Shabbat alarm sounded. He understood that he is not his actions. He made a mistake, that he's not a bad person. And this is because the rabbi chose to see him as a person and not as a mistake. Practical tools that we can apply into our own lives. There's 5 practical tools I will share with you. Number 1, if you're rebuking, rebuke from love. Number 2, stress the person's positive attributes before pointing out anything negative. Try to do a lot more positive than negative. Number 3, share your own struggles before rebuking others. When you say, one of the best speakers is when they actually share their own struggles and challenges with the issue they're actually talking about, and they're influencing others in a much greater light, because they're saying, I was also in your shoes, and now I'm here to help you overcome your challenge. Number 4 is give the person another chance. Give them a benefit of the doubt before rebuking him, right? You tell them something like, I'm sure you didn't notice, or I'm sure you didn't know this. Number 5, welcome the rebuke from others and be grateful. Now, this is very challenging and very difficult, especially if it's not something that we're trained to do with ourselves. However, with every time it happens, you will get better and better at it. In other words, you could tell yourself, I will try to be grateful when being corrected by others, for they are helping me accomplish my mission in life. Of course, we welcome criticism from others when it's being done tactfully and gently and compassionately. However, most of the time people are not criticizing us that way, but we can be the ones who can do it to others. Of course, it starts in our families, in our own homes, towards our family members, our children, our husbands. Try to rebuke in a way where they are hearing us, and be grateful for the opportunities to change. The person's purpose in life is to change, is character growth, is being and becoming, appreciating who you are as you become so much more, right? As you become so much more. appreciating your positive attributes as you work on your negative attributes. And that's how we want to relate to others. We want to show how good they are, how accomplished they are, even if they have to work on so much. And that's the only way to propel them to become better. Appreciating the insights of Rebbetzin Feldbrand in her book, Choose Right, Building Better Interpersonal Relationships. Leah Abramov, Being and Becoming, awakening awareness of your greatness and potential.